see. That's why, because I didn't hit computer. Now the recording gets to have a whole bunch of blankness while it's waiting for me to get back into the settled. Okay, so I'm going to start over again. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Jessica Korff. I own Fleur Photography and also the new magazine Success REfashiond for women who are looking to do support for growth, for visibility, and education in business. In the new climate that we're in, I'm really looking to help support those women and ask them to come and support other women by bringing in their expertise. The ones who are out there, they're taking the time to dive in and get creative or make an impact, or they just have expertise that can help guide the rest of us through these uncertain times. So today I have with me Robyn Moore. She's a skincare expert with Mary Kay. Hello, Robyn.
Hi.
Thank you for coming and joining us today.
I'm super excited to be here. This is going to be so fun.
It will be. It will be. Please tell us more about you on the personal side as well as what you do on the business side.
So I am Robyn Moore. I am married to my best friend and amazing husband, Michael Moore. And we have 3 kids. I have 2 bonus children, my oldest daughter, Courtney, and then our middle son, Carson, and then my baby, Luke Russell Moore, who is almost 2. A month from tomorrow, he will be 2. That's so crazy. Time just flies, doesn't it? And I'm trying to think about else personally. I love a lot of things. I love to have fun. Right now, one of my hobbies that I'm trying to pick up is hand lettering, like the brush hand lettering. I think that just looks so beautiful. I was actually commenting on a logo of someone's because I'm learning how to like have beautiful handwriting. It's very difficult. You think you're just going to pick it up. It's not that easy. I even bought the brushes and everything. And I've got the trace paper. So that's something about me right now. I am a sales director with Mary Kay. I have been doing Mary Kay. I just had my 8th anniversary. And my team and I have earned 3 free cars. So that's kind of fun. I don't know what else about me. I'm like trying to think of, really, in non-quarantine, I just hang out with my family, run my business, and network. It's like what I like to do. And I love to be outside. That's probably one of my favorite things. Everyone keeps saying, Robyn, you look so dark in quarantine. I'm like, that's because I'm outside all the time. Because what else are we going to do? We're going to go hiking and play in the pool. So yeah.
Yeah, Zoom needs to not put us next to each other because it's making me even more pale. And I know we were talking and you told me how much you love glitter, right?
Oh, so. Yes. Glitter is my favorite color. Everything I have is glitter. Like this cup is all glitter, has my name. It's like, I'm actually getting a new glitter cup today. And it's so funny because everyone that knows me, if they see anything that says glitter, so I have like 100 signs that say something about glitter, like she leaves sparkle everywhere she goes. And then there's my friends that we're still friends that hate glitter. And I just, anything but I just love the glitter because I think it just adds like something. When you see glitter, you're like, wow, look at that. Actually, a fun fact, my favorite kind of glitter, I call it nature's glitter, are geodes. Like I have so many geodes. I have so much geode jewelry and like druzy jewelry. I think it's the most beautiful thing on the planet because I feel like nature gave us glitter. So yeah.
That's a great way to put it. You're going to love that I'm getting into resin painting now, and many of them are very geode and created. So I'll have to make you one.
Yes, please.
I can't promise it'll be beautiful. It's a new endeavor.
But geodes, what I love about geodes is they are beautiful because they're unique. Like they don't have to be perfect. It's not exact. It's so unique and so different, right. And every single one is beautiful. That's actually such a profound thought that I just had right now.
I was just going to say, you sound like you're about to compare it to all of the wonderful women you work with.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I think for me, also something that you can't tell in Zoom, I feel like I was wonderfully created, very unique. I am 6'4", so I often tell people when I go into a room, I'm not the tallest woman, I'm the tallest person. So it's just, I'm so unique. I've always been very different physically than everyone else. So maybe that's why I like the standout. I like everything that stands out because I've always kind of stood out, whether I wanted to or not, which most of the time I didn't want to. But once I embraced it, then everything became a little extra. So I think maybe that's where the glitter resonates with me. It's like, I'm just a little extra. Got a little extra leg, I got a little extra length, I got a little extra everything. So it's all good. Like, I think that's where that comes from. I never even thought of that.
I think that's an excellent reason.
I do too.
Okay, so what's your situation right now? How's the pandemic really affected your business?
Okay, so first and foremost, I feel so grateful to have a company like Mary Kay, because if you know anything about our cosmetic skincare world, most companies are completely shut down, especially if they have brick and mortars. They are still not open. And no matter where you are in the country, probably, and especially in Arizona, which is where we are, there's still not open. And so not having the ability to do that. But our company has been open the entire time. And one of the reasons for that is because Mary Kay has one of the only research and development facilities in the United States that's still left in the United States. So the government in Texas asked them to make hand sanitizers for the front lines. So Mary Kay donated, like, I feel like at this point there's thousands of them across the country. There's some in Arizona. Actually, we've got some in Sierra Vista, in Tucson, because we were running out of hand sanitizer. So Mary Kay stopped all the production on our products and started production on these hand sanitizers, and they've gone out to thousands of people across the country. So I love that we are still open, which is super helpful. The one thing that's changed for me is everyone says, well, you're a millennial, so you must do a lot of business virtually. I am a millennial and I'm also a very non-millennial. Like, I love to be in front of people. Virtual is not like, that has never been a huge part of my business. I just am a connector. Like, I just love to connect with people, spend time with people, get to know them. What do they love? What do they need? So when this all hit, I had to pivot really quickly and change everything. So Jessica and I were just talking about, I did a bunch of research on what's the best way to do that. So I pretty much feel like it automatically changed to shifting my business. And to be honest with you, this is one of the most successful months my team and I have ever had. So it's really unique because I do think there's two thoughts for me. One is because I heard this saying that everyone kept saying, if I'm going to be cocooned, I better come out looking like a butterfly. So self-care has been a word that has just kind of exploded, and people aren't able to go to the store and get their product, or go to a space and get, treatment for their skin. And so we have an ability to actually bring it to their front door, touchless kind of ability. And also the connection. I think we're looking for connection, and we brought that virtually, right? To feel like we're together even if we're not. Right. So it's different, but it's actually been really great for me. So, and I know for a lot of our whole sales force across the country. So
excellent. I think, I've been watching your posts, and I think that they're doing a lot of great things, and I'm super glad you're still going. But I have to ask you, because I'm staring at you, trying to listen to you, and I'm looking at your earrings. Are we wearing matching earrings?
Are they Kendra Scott?
No, mine are black. Okay, I thought that they were black, like next to your hair.
So I'm a huge fan of Kendra Scott, and I just learned this. Kendra Scott and Mary Kay do a lot together. I bought these myself, but they do a lot together, so we earn a lot of Kendra Scott jewelry. Nice. And the reason is Kendra Scott's mom was a Mary Kay sales director. She grew up in a Mary Kay home. So it's kind of cool. So she loves to give back, and so they really connect. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, mine are from, I think, Trades of Hope is what it's called. So
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah. But that explains, I've always heard Kendra Scott's really good about giving back. So that explains it, because it comes from the same roots.
Yeah. She gives so much. It's kind of crazy for a jewelry company too. You don't always think that, but I love her company.
Right. So what do you have for us today? What are you gonna shower us with?
So I usually primarily work with women. That's just what it is. We love our Mary Kay men. We do have skincare and all that stuff for men. And one of the things that I like to talk about, and I talk about this to all people, in my opinion, it's super important, is self-care. And I always say skincare is self-care, and self-care is the way you allow yourself to show up the best for the world. And this analogy that I have is not new. It's just a duh. And I like what you said, Jessica, in the bio part about like the oxygen mask. When you're in an airplane, they tell you before you put on your child, or if you're caring for someone, put your oxygen mask first, because if you can't breathe, you can't help anyone else. And so that whole theory is exactly how I believe, especially as women, because I think naturally as women, we tend to give, and give. And it's kind of funny that my mom is on here, because I grew up watching my mom give herself to everyone. Like, she always was helping so many people. And she will admit she never really took a lot of time for herself. She really had a hard time taking time for herself. And one of the things that I heard when I started doing more self-care was that word, and I used it earlier, like, Robyn, you're so extra. Like, you go do this for you. You do this. Wow, you do that for yourself? And I tell people, absolutely. And I never apologize for taking care of myself, because my mental health, my physical health, my energy, all of those things, if I don't have all of it, I can't give anything away. And one thing I learned a long time ago, that which you do not have, you cannot give away. And for me, I thought about having children one day. If I don't have confidence, if I don't know how to take care of myself, if I don't know how to manage my money, if I don't know how to say no or have boundaries, neither will my children. Neither will the people that I inspire or work with. So for me, I really, and I love that self-care is now a buzzword. You know, we've been doing this a long time. Mary Kay's been doing this a long time, but now self-care is something that is more sought out and sought after. So I think really for me, the subject of self-care can look different for every single person. But knowing what it is for you. And so for me, I always like to give super easy self-care tips. So one of the things is, if you could picture your perfect day, what does your perfect day look like? And so that often I tell people, if you could take a piece of that perfect day and put it into every day, how would that help you? So for me, like right now, hand lettering is something I'm really enjoying, and like just being out in nature. So my goal is at least one time a day that I get to hand letter something outside. Now, I'm not doing it all day because it's not realistic, but picking something that does that. And so from my perspective, I have this theory that if you're unwilling to take care of yourself, how well are you going to be able to take care of others, or take care of your job or your business in general? And actually, I read a study about 3 years ago from HR companies that said, if someone, specifically women, came in for an interview with very little to no makeup on, oftentimes their first impression was they weren't willing to take care of themselves, so they probably wouldn't take good care of their customers. And I thought, I don't really love that. Like, that was like, wait, so you're putting, like, that's not, I don't want people to get judged that way. But the idea that in all reality, first impressions, we only get one. And so for me, I think about taking care of your skin. And here's my little joke. Your skin is your largest organ, and we have a lot of things. Like, we take care of a lot of things, right? You have a house, you have a car, maybe you have a husband, maybe you have a wife, maybe you have all these things. You can replace your car, you can replace your house. Frankly, you could replace your husband. I'm not recommending it by any means, because I love mine, and I know a lot of us do, our wives, not replacing them. But you cannot replace your skin. Like, there is not a way to do that. Like, you get one of these. And so to take good care of yourself and your health and your skin, to me, is the starting point. So people will say to me, well, Robyn, I don't have time for that. That's a luxury. To me, that's not a great place to have in our mindset, is that we are not a priority. We are a priority. You are a priority. And so I feel like, as a woman who's always been a little bit of a louder voice, and someone who has always spoken up, I've met thousands of women in my life and in my career. And I will tell you, it's so prevalent to hear people say, oh, well, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time, especially young moms. Oh my goodness. Do I hear it all the time? Like, I don't have time. I don't know how you have time for that. We all have the same amount of time. I just made time. And so I love to give other ideas of, like, okay, so my favorite idea, which for all the guys that are listening, I apologize for this, but this is my favorite. So for skincare purposes, I always tell people there are 5 basic steps to skincare. This is the bottom. This is like the bottom, like food, water, and shelter. This is the bottom bar, is to cleanse, exfoliate, freshen our tone, moisturize, and protect every day, twice a day. Just like we brush our teeth. It's the same process. I know it sounds crazy to do 5, but you can figure out quick ways to do that. So people are like, how do you do that at night? Like women, oh, I can't wash my face at night. Like I don't have time for that. So my one tip is the second your bra comes off, your face comes off. It all comes off at the same time. You don't have to, you can wash it, do all that stuff, moisturize all at the same time. Like once you're here, you're home, you're not going anywhere. And I know in quarantine, maybe we're not even worried about all that, but just making that time for like the 5 minutes it takes to just put that on or put a mask on, like just do something for yourself. And I think that's the easiest way to start with self-care. And obviously it can turn into different things. Like if it's for me, having time alone, which when you have children and family and husbands and all the things and animals, there's not a whole lot of that. So do you wake up earlier? Do you stay up later? And so for me, I think if I could teach more women that if you are not going to put yourself as a priority, that you're teaching other people that it's okay to not put themselves as a priority. And when you teach yourself to be a priority, like my daughter went and spent money on something, and I was like, girl, you're just really taking good care of yourself. She goes, well, I learned from the best. I'm like, who's that? She goes, you. I'm like, all right. The bonus mom is teaching and I really I like that she is more confident. And I don't mean to say that women aren't confident, because I do believe a lot of women are confident, but I've seen so many women struggle with self-esteem. And I don't know if it's some of the way people grew up, but they don't want to stand up for themselves. And I really do believe that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say that can't happen because I have to come first. So yes, it will take time. Yes, it will take effort. And yes, it will have to take away from some things. But can you ask yourself if everything you're doing following your values, everything you're doing getting you closer to your goals or closer to your family? I always say, if it does not bring me joy and it is not making me money, I do not want to do it. That is really, those are the two things. And so before Corona, did I clean my house? No, but that's because it didn't bring me joy and it didn't make me money. There are people that cleaning brings them joy, right? Like it is a thing. Some people like that. I am not that person. But there are other things that I could do with my time. So I think giving yourself permission to know you're right, you can't do everything. It is not possible. So prioritizing your time and your energy. I hate the word time management too, because we all have the same. Like me, you, and Oprah, we all have the same amount of time. Nobody has more, but we can only do so much with our time. So if your energy is low or what you do is not giving you energy, it's taking energy away from you, that's super important to realize. Did I just do something that gave me less energy? Okay, I don't want to do that. And am I prioritizing? Like, what are the things I'm doing that are going to make me move forward quickly? And no hate on this, but are we scrolling through Instagram? Like I had a trainer teach me once. She goes, Robyn, nobody's ever going to give you an award for how well you scroll through Instagram or how many Facebook things you look at. And I was like, wow, thank you for that. That was like a slap in the face. But really, we can all get caught up in it. And now, geez, coronavirus, I got TikTok, and that was the worst thing I could have done. Don't do that. I'm like, okay, timer, I'm like, I can't do that. It's too much. So, and even those things, like I learned that some of that sucks my energy. So I am really intentional about not doing it, and I've learned what other things suck my energy. And I'm a person who I get energy by other people. So if I'm alone too much, I lose energy. And so just figuring out yourself and what does that look like. And I have to give huge kudos to my life and business coach, Tabitha Danlow, who has helped me through all this, because I think it's really hard to do this on your own. I think it's really hard to start working because you can't see outside of what's in front of you, right? And so to see outside and say, what does Robyn really want? Or what does Deborah really want? Or what does Martha really want her life to look like? Not what everyone thinks she should do, not what everyone says a good mom does or a good wife does or a good woman does, but what do you want your life to look like? And so I think the best way to start is through that self-care. I think taking care of yourself is the first point of really changing the way your life looks and what that leaves. And to me, that can lead to, what is your legacy? I think self-care is the start. And then what do you want your legacy? When you're gone, what do you want people to say about you? Or what kind of impact do you want to have left in the community, on your family, in your business, or just in the world? What do you want people to say about you when you were gone? And so I think that seems like such a large scale, but that, I think it starts there. And I've just seen that for so many people. So I guess that was kind of most of what I wanted to share, and just giving people permission, because I think maybe sometimes we just need permission to say, it's okay. Like I'll tell my husband sometimes, like, hey, I need like an hour today, and I'm gonna need you to take the kid, and I don't know what you guys are gonna do, but I need an hour. He's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, doesn't matter. I need an hour, just one. And being okay with having, and I think when people say it takes a village, I think that is not just for kids or raising. I think it takes a village to take care of Robyn Moore, and I'm okay with that. I am totally okay with that, because I know that I show up the best for the people that matter to me. And here's the last thing I want to leave with you. This breaks my heart when I hear this, that like, especially working women, whether it's a business or you work, is that they always feel like their family gets what's left over. And I want to encourage people to know that you're like, the priorities, if you're family, you want to give, I always tell my husband, I want to give you the best of me. In order to give you the best of me, I need these certain things, because I give a lot of me away every day. And what I do is energy management and training and sharing and coaching and teaching and all those things I love to do, but sometimes I need a reboost. So if you can't take care of yourself, you can't give your best to your family. And I used to always compare myself to these women who had all these kids, all these businesses, and they were just so successful. I'm like, gosh, you look like everything's perfect. And I found out one of two things. One, either it wasn't perfect and their whole inside was a mess. They were full of anxiety. They were like just rotten inside. They felt horrible about themselves, and they thought they just never had self-esteem. Or they were like, yes, and I have a lot of help, and I also take really good care of myself. That is what I have found in that experience, was that it's not always bright rainbows and butterflies, and that's okay too. But that's why I told Jessica, one of the things about me that is super important for people to see is my life can sometimes be a hot mess. Like if someone follows me on Instagram, I give them hope for anything. Like how many times I've had a Play-Doh fail. I think we tried to make Play-Doh like 10 times, and I finally figured it out 10 pounds of flour later, but I did it. And it just all those things. So just giving permission to be selfish, because I think being selfish is the best thing you can do, is the most selfless thing you can do. And that doesn't make sense, but it does. That make sense a little?
Yes. I think, there's also like, it's maybe not selfish, but it's still taking time for yourself. So selfish has such a hard kind of like a bad connotation with it, because people who generally are super selfish, they don't care about anyone else, but it's okay to take time that is selfish time.
Exactly. Like there's time to focus on yourself and ask for what you need. And I really don't believe that always happens. I really think, especially as women, there's this, we have to look a certain way or be a certain way. So if you don't hit that mold, what are you? So,
Right. And I love that. I mean, you talked about it, you talk about skincare as the first most basic foundational piece of starting to care about yourself. And I think that's so important. And we talked about, one of the things I thought about as you were talking about is how I talk a lot about women empowerment as well. And we even have like things for tweens and empowering them, right? Because it really starts at home. It's such something that's been nailed into us during society, right? And in culture, that you have to be on the back burner, that you have to take care of everyone else first, that you cannot put yourself first, or else how dare you? And so changing that. And then as a result, we're raising up our daughters to feel the same way.
Amen.
And it doesn't stop.
And for me, I know I have a bonus daughter, but I also look at my son, and I think that he's going to look for a kind of woman who's independent, who doesn't, like that changes the way that we build relationships, healthy relationships. They're going to watch a healthy mom and dad. They're going to watch a healthy relationship. Even my bonus kids, they can see a healthy relationship, even though it's not their mom and dad. They have, because we work on it. So it literally trickles into all areas of your life. And then it's that legacy. What's that impact? And so for me, I always, like, my mom struggled with that because she didn't grow up with that. Right. And so we've really grown together in our self-esteem and self-confidence. And that's such a fun place to be honest, the way we grow and we support each other. But I also love to say, like, you know, the things we say to ourselves, say it out loud to your children. Like, I hear women all the time, like, I'm ugly, I'm fat. I'm like, would you ever say that to your child? Like, I want you to say it out loud. Say your child's name and say, you're ugly, you're fat. You would probably cry your eyes out because you would never, ever say that to them. But when you say it to yourself, you're giving them permission to say it to themselves as well.
Yep. So that's what I had thought about too. When you mentioned legacy, like, it's not even just who you were, it's who you're raising up your next generation as. And I love that you also touched on boys, right? I have all girls, so sometimes I forget to think about all those little boys out there. But you're not just raising the girls how to think, but like you said, how the boys, how to view their ideal woman. Right.
And respect women and respect whatever she wants, not what you want. And I just think that's really important.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what are your top 3 favorite things for you to do for yourself for self-care?
Ooh, it's hard for 3 because I am a lot of extra. I like a lot of things.
Okay, give me 5.
Okay. So one of my favorite things to do, and this is like a new thing I just recently did, is like have a whole day of, and this sounds really extra, like a spa day. I've learned how to do it like strategically so it doesn't cost a whole lot. So like you like get a treatment, but you have the whole day to just reflect, and doing that like once a quarter, right? That's not like an every time thing, or like as a celebration. Like for me, that's like a motivation. One of the other things I do for self-care that I've kind of always done for my mind that I didn't know I did, I can even remember in college, whenever I would have exams, my mom would send me coloring books because I've always been a colorer before it was cool, you know? Like, everyone made fun of me for coloring in college, and now adult coloring is like the coolest thing you can do. And I'm like, hello, people, I've been doing this forever. I started the trend. No, I wish I should have brought it. I have like a bag of pens that are like this big. I have pens all around me. Like, I just love to color. And for me, what I learned about through adult coloring is that it shuts off parts of your brain. And you have to focus on staying in the lines, but then you use your creative side to use color, so you can't think about anything else. So for those of you that have minds that go like this and you just can't turn it off, coloring, and wine is great too, I'm just saying, is like everything. Before I really, like, my husband, if I would go like you could tell, he's like, honey, you okay? I'm like, He'd just like gently slip a coloring book and some colors, like, and say, okay, go ahead. Like, that is one of my favorite things for self-care. And I think it's because I'm not super artistic, but I like the creative outlet. And really, I have to go outside. Like, I love to hike. I love where we live because, you know, I live really close to Sabino Canyon, and to be able to see the desert and have water and just hear nature right in your backyard. So for me, I really connect with the outside. Like, even if I have to walk outside and lay in the grass, you will, on days that are not great, you may find grass stains on my professional clothes, because yes, I will throw my heels off and lay in the grass. So I've really found like nature for me is a big one. And because I like to be around people, I avoid the quiet. So I have to find the quiet to get my peace, which can be hard because it's all you have is yourself, which is sometimes the hardest part. So yeah, those are probably my top 3. And the first one is like a new one. And so I'm gonna, as soon as this world, I'm like, that's my first thing I'm gonna do. Go have a spa day, like a whole day of relaxation. I'm like, yes. And for those people that are like, oh my gosh, how do we, like, I really think asking for help, like support in your world, it doesn't always have to cost money to do that, but just asking for help. For some of you are like, I just like to be in my house alone. how does that work? So some of my girlfriends, like I have family close, and my family is like the most amazing people ever. They help me with my son. They help me with my life. They're just the best. But I have girlfriends who like swap. If they have kids, like they'll say, I'll take your kids this night, and then you take my kids this night. So they can kind of, so there's fun, creative ways to do that for like, especially the moms. I think that's a cool, yeah.
That's a great idea. I do have a quick question and that I just came up with. So as a mom of teenagers now, and as a mom, and then as my mother asks me questions too, but I'm still learning on my own how to take care of my skin the right way. What are some of the biggest differences you see on, I know like Mary Kay carries different lines to help with different aging skin.
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest tips for a teenager, for a well, I guess we got your mom one who's super busy, right? And then so for someone who has skin, let's say over 50.
Okay. So first of all, people always ask, when do you start having teenagers, especially girls, start to like take care of their skin? The rule of thumb is like deodorant, skincare. You can start skincare sooner as long as you're using like the right kind of products, and looking for products that, my key things for looking for products, especially in, this is in general, but especially for teenagers, is products without oil and products without alcohol. And then one key word that is super important in the skincare world is a non-comedogenic product. That means that it is formulated that it cannot clog your pores. And just like a little ding for Mary Kay, all of our products are non-comedogenic. That is not true in the skincare world in general, and makeup world especially. So just being really aware of that with kids, teenagers, especially as they start to wear makeup, that's where things start to get a little crazy.
Right.
So, and again, the tone aspect of the 5 steps, toning for teenagers, that's when they start to have some hormonal. And so the pH balance can really help. And just helping them get in. And I think with girls, especially, doing it with them, like it's a fun thing they get to do with their mom. And so like, or their dad, like we all mask together as a family. Like we like to do that kind of stuff. So just making it a fun thing instead of like, do I have to brush my teeth? Do I have to wash my face? Like, how do you make it fun? And then for the middle row, like I always say, we start to lose our collagen at 21. So if you're over 21, you should be using an anti-aging product.
Wow.
So if you're over 21 not using anti-aging, you're probably going to speed up that process. So one of the things that's caused by free radicals. So having antioxidants in your products is super important. And one of the biggest things, my biggest tip, is sunscreen. Sunscreen. And my second biggest tip in sunscreen is quality sunscreen. So I'm not going to go on this is like a pedestal for me, because sunscreen is an industry that is unregulated and very, very little. There's just a lot of products that don't actually do what they say they do. So for example, Tucson, Arizona, well, Arizona in general, we're one of the number one states, one of the top states for skin cancer. And we're also one of the states with vitamin D deficiency. That doesn't really make sense, but it's mostly because of the products we're using. So educate yourself. And one way to educate yourself is the American Skin Cancer Society. They actually put their seal of approval on products that are actually quality sunscreen. So maybe look at that. And when you're purchasing products, and if anybody specifically has questions, I'm pretty versed in all skincare and sunscreen, just because I think it's important to know not just my own product, but to know what's out there. So that's that tip.
Fantastic.
And then over mature skin. So there are 3 ways your skin, like 3 reasons our skin ages, and it's stress. So try and avoid stress. Self-care, people. Less stress with more self-care. Environmental, which can be what you put in your body. It can be the actual exhaust, the oil, the dirt, the dander, all the things that are actually in our air. We don't live in an organic world, so we have things that we need to protect from our face. And then the number 3 thing is sun damage, which is dehydration. So one of my biggest tips, water. My health coach would be very proud, but really water is one of the things that can change your skin, the most inexpensive way to change your skin. The average woman should drink about 72 ounces of water. I just learned that from my health coach. So that's a good average, which is harder than you think if you're not a water drinker. So water, and then really a good skincare routine and a routine. Like I tell people, give your skincare like 2 to 4 weeks to really work. We live in a microwave society where people want to go to the next thing, the next product. Oftentimes it's not the company, it's user error, right? Like we're trying to mix and match all these companies and all these products and have our own little scientific skincare science project. When really, if you use a skincare line and try their products, someone who can teach you and be educated on what their products do, and then try it for a while. Try the product, and then if you need to make changes, not every company obviously is like this, but when you work with someone like with Mary Kay and with me as a consultant, we exchange that product and help you find what's exactly for your skin, because no one has the same skin. It's just not a thing. And so really making sure you give that time and stop hodgepodging your skincare. Stop it. Exactly. Martha just said, don't create chemical warfare on your face. There's no need for that. We're not chemists over here trying to have explosions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Those were great tips. Does anybody have any questions for Robyn about skincare or sunscreen or even makeup? Okay. So, and if you do, either you can put it in the chat or feel free to come off mute. When I see you come off mute, I'll know that you have a question. Tell me what's a common misconception about your industry?
Ooh, so there's a couple common misconceptions about my company, number one, and then there's common misconceptions about our industry. So I would say two separate answer. My company, the common misconception is that we are mostly makeup. And I tell people we are a skincare company who sells cosmetics. In all reality, that's what we are. Our whole goal is skincare, and we love that makeup is fun and you have a lot of things. But I just posted this thing the other day. I did half my face, and I said, if your skincare game is a 2, your makeup game cannot be a 10. It's just not enough. It's just not possible. So having good skin makes all of it easier and better. So that's one misconception. My favorite misconception is that Mary Kay is for old ladies and old people. I guess I'm proof in the pudding that it's not. But the reason I think for that is we've been around for 56 years and longevity. And what people don't know is Mary Kay is actually a top 5 global skincare and cosmetic company, like top 5 in the world. We are like, if you were to go to a skincare conference, you would be taught by dermatologists in Mary Kay, like if you worked in the skincare industry. Like we are really one of the best that you could get, but we just have a different process. So it's more affordable and it's more relational. So I think those are the two biggest misconceptions about my company. The industry, in my opinion, the biggest misconception is that all skincare is safe. I say that because our skincare industry standards in the United States are the lowest that really in the world. So the FDA regulates that there's about 11 products you cannot put into skincare in the United States. In the EAU, their recommendation is, or their requirement is 1,400 products are banned. 1,400. So most of the reason people sell skincare products in the United States is because we have the lowest regulations. So it's the easiest to sell it and make it. Also, most of the products, only 2% of all products made here or sold here are made here. So 98% of products that are sold in the United States are not made here, but it's much easier to sell them here because we have no regulation. So Mary Kay is one of the companies that we actually have the EAU standards, but then we have our own standards for just skincare and products in general, just because they have been doing this a long time, so they really know. So I think that would probably be the biggest industry misconception. And the other misconception, this is going to be, I shouldn't even say this, but this is who I am. I'm real, I'm raw. All those celebrities that are on TV, they do not use that product. I mean, I don't know why people think that they do. Like, that blows my mind that people really think that they actually use that product. I don't know. People will tell me all the time, well, look at her skin. Yes, look at her skin and all the money she spends on her skin. So I just feel like those are like, it sounds kind of silly and kind of like off the wall, but it's true. That is not how the skincare industry works. And they compare the skincare industry to tobacco and alcohol. That's what we are compared to. and just the cosmetic industry in general, because there are very little regulations. So being a smart, educated shopper is super important. And I'm not saying there aren't good skincare in the world. There is good skincare in the United States. You just have to really search for it. You really do. It's not easily as accessible as you would think.
Thank you. Yeah, I did not know some of those things, but I definitely had, I would agree that I was somebody who, when I think Mary Kay, I always thought cosmetics. So I love that you're coming on and really talking about skin. And as a photographer, I can tell you too, makeup does not, like, it helps, but it does not take away all the bad skin. Like, I am still retouching all of that all the time. So taking care of your skin beforehand is super important. Little photographer tip to add into that.
I love that. I feel like you should give more tips like that, especially like weddings or things like that. People will think, oh, we could just get it fixed and just cover it.
Well, I mean, you can, but it sure takes a lot longer.
You're like, give me some time, please.
Right. And let me ask you then, on that note, really quick, if somebody wants to, they have some skin troubles and they know they're going to go get a photo shoot done, or they're getting ready for a wedding or what have you, what's the lead time? Like, how much time should they give their skin to really start to heal?
So it's probably a twofold answer. If you have good skin already, and maybe there's a couple things you don't like you texture or under eye area, that can be like a 3-month process. If you have troubled skin, honestly, I tell people, give yourself a good 3 to 5 months. So like when I work with brides for skincare, I'm like, can I get you 6 to 8 months away from your wedding? That would be the goal, because skin is one of those things that it shows up over time. Like, for example, you didn't all of a sudden get wrinkles, right? Like, you didn't all of a sudden get sun damage. It took a lot of time to get there. It takes some time to get back. To me, it's a lot like weight loss too. It's just the health. To me, skin is health. So I look at it, nothing in health is quick and easy. And if it is, it's usually not the most beneficial thing for you, right? So there is a process that goes into that. So, and really going to know what products you're using, and not to just kind of mix and match. Or like, I love it when people go to get like a chemical peel like 2 days before their wedding. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got to tell people, skincare people will not let you do that, right? Like, don't do anything super invasive before you have a large event. Like, my biggest tip too is, if you're going to do an event and you're not hydrate before the event, that's always good. You can never have too much hydration, but any like exfoliation, or even if you're going to an esthetician, they will tell you, don't come to me like a week before the event. Come to me like 2 weeks or more, so your skin can detox all of that out. And then you can get better from there.
Great. Those are great tips too. Thank you. So let me ask you a few of these other questions that I always love to ask. What do you always put first when you are prioritizing your time?
I feel blessed and lucky enough to say the first thing that goes on my schedule is time with my son. And that's why I chose to do Mary Kay, is because that is the priorities of Mary Kay, is your faith, your family, and your career. And so most people write down on their schedule their 9-to-5 job. I write, when am I going to spend time with my son? And it's even in my calendar, like Luke and mom time. Like, I don't work most Mondays and Fridays because we spend all day together. I look a little different on Monday and Fridays, I will also say. People like, my chiropractor was like, oh, no makeup Monday. I'm like, here we are. So that for me is the number one priority on my schedule. And I will say my number 2 priority is, where am I putting my self-care? And when I say Luke, I also mean my family. Like, my husband and I are really very, very clear about date nights, about time without any children, which can be hard, but it's really important, like time together. So I guess my family in general is like time. And then I look at, again, you heard me say it before, what brings me joy and what makes me money. So after that, it's joy and money. Sometimes money, then joy, depending on the day, like what's going to produce income for my family and what's going to help me be a better mom or a better friend, or all those things.
Right. I love that you mentioned that, because that's additional self-care. Self-care is also enjoying your time with your family and not putting them, again, like you said earlier, last to the point where they get what's left of you. So I love that.
And in the beginning of motherhood, I struggled with that so much. I was really not good at doing that. And I could feel the guilt of like, I'm not being a good mom. I'm not being a good businesswoman. I'm not a great leader to my people. And so I really like my people will be like, I'm so sorry, it's Friday. You might not get this and you might see it on Saturday. Like they know, like having those boundaries help me, my mental state and my self-care more than anything. I thank you for mentioning that because I think that is huge.
Yep. And then rolling in, I guess, straight from spouse and kids, right? So working from home right now with your spouse and kids, it can make it a little hard to focus and do some of the things that maybe are making you money. So tell me, what's your best tip for your staying focused?
So I am not above bribery. I'm just gonna be honest. Like the other day, and also I just want to clarify, my parents help me so much. They're like grandparents of the year. So if I need if I have like something like this, they took him because this would not be professional in any way, shape, or form. So being able to ask for help and sometimes paying for it, definitely. Usually in the non-coronavirus, I pay for a preschool that he goes to and that stuff. So I have time to work because you just can't logically, I don't believe, work really successfully with a 2-year-old. I don't know. Some people, maybe they can, not in my worlds. So I'm also, my husband is not home. He's essential. So they work there. They are working. But what I have found is really helpful is when I'm in a moment, I'm in all that moment. Like when I'm with my son, I'm with my son. We are playing, we're throwing the ball, we're really together. When I'm working, I am working. There's no distractions. And that is number one thing for me is distractions. I get distracted by everything. Like do. So I always write the 6 things I have to do. And then here's my biggest tip for people that are like me. This may not work for everyone. I have a reward. So my reward may be like you get to sit down and have a minute to yourself, or you get a soda tonight or whatever, but I have to finish all those things. My reward used to be like, if you don't do this, you can't have dinner with your family. That didn't work for me because I was like, I'm gonna have dinner with my family no matter what. But you'll be surprised if you're a procrastinator, how well you can get things done. If you just give yourself, like I have a timer on everything. You have 15 minutes to do it. If you don't finish it, that's on you. Like you better get it done. And for those of you that procrastinators, we're brilliant at this. We can get anything done in 15 minutes if we only have 15 minutes. And we're probably really did it better. So I love being a procrastinator now because I'm like, dang, I can get so much done in such a short amount of time. That's our superpower, procrastinators. So for all you procrastinators, you're welcome. I guess the timer thing was my best tip because that has changed my life.
I like it because it gives you a set box, a priority. Like this, you don't have all day, just if you can, it's now.
Well, and if you think about it, when do you get the house the cleanest? Right before everyone comes over. It's the same thing in your business or work. Like I get everything done right before I know it has to be done.
Very good. So delegating, get present, and give yourself a reward and a limit, a time limit. I like it.
And here's what I learned. If you don't know about this, the Enneagram is one of the best tools I've learned to work with myself. I've learned how to put gates around me. So I'm a 7. So everything we want to do is fun. And we are afraid of our greatest fear is like pain and anything not fun, pretty much. So you have to like learn yourself because that doesn't work for everyone. Rewards doesn't work for everyone. Time blocking doesn't work for everyone. So get yourself, and another plug, Enneagram, take the test, Tabitha Danlow, just telling you.
Yeah, we had her on and we were talking about the Enneagram.
It's a game changer to know yourself. Mm-hmm. To it's almost like you're setting baby gates for yourself. Like, don't go here, Robyn. There's a gate, it's really kind of very helpful.
Yes. It's funny that you mentioned that too, because I've been listening to Miracle Mornings by, is it Hal
Elrod?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he mentions that he talked to a billionaire and asked him how he stays, how he gets it all done. And he said he writes on the top 7 things he has to do every day, and he does 3 of them. And then he gives himself a reward and he sets timers. So
I actually never really read the whole book, but a lot of my girlfriends are super into it, so they just told me what to do, and I love that. The SAVERS acronym, that is probably one of the things that changed for me, is that SAVERS acronym from Miracle Morning. And his whole idea is just waking up an hour earlier than you normally would. He says 5, I say no thank you, but it's all good, whatever works for you. And the SAVERS acronym is that every morning you start your morning by silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and then scribing. You know, he's just got to be fancy instead of saying writing. Savor word didn't work, so yeah. I love that. I love that theory. I haven't read the book yet. I'm not very good at that. So.
Well, Audible is my friend, and honestly, I'm not even listening to it enough because I'm not in the car anymore. But I had to go get my girls from Sierra Vista yesterday, so I got to listen to a book.
Oh, good. I like that.
Okay, so tell me, what's inspiring you right now?
This will probably make me really emotional, but what's inspiring me right now is watching the way people have put themselves aside and really, really looked at, how can I help others? You know, what can I do? And I have some girlfriends who are nurses who work in the ICU, and, you know, and watching other women and men who are in those fields that have isolated themselves from their families to take care of the health of strangers. Like, I mean, I would say my job is nothing like that. I have no kind of sacrifice like that. And as most business people, we don't have those kind of sacrifices. And there are people willing to take care of strangers and alienate their families, move away from their families to keep their family safe and to help others. Like, that's the kind of human, that world that I want to be a part of. That's the kind of connection I want to be a part of. And watching people give, you know, even like, I think athletes get a bad rap, right? Because they're like making all this money playing sports and all that. But like some of the professional athletes that have paid for the arenas, all of the salaries for the people that work at the arenas that no longer have jobs, or just like things that people are doing to help others and just putting others first and not asking why or how or getting anything back from it, and just doing that. And even to the simple thing of, you know, everyone has a different theory on what it is, but just being safe for other people. You know, you may not die from this. It may not be bad for you, but you don't know who is affected by it. And I know I don't want to get too much into that because I know everyone has different thoughts, but that's the other thing. I heard this the other day. We all are in the same storm, but we're all not in the same boat. Right. We are all in very different boats. So just giving space for people to be where they are and being okay and just helping any way you can. I think that's really inspired me a ton.
I love it. Yep. I think I've said this at this point, every single one of these, like, grace is officially my new word for this year, like for yourself and for everyone else as well. You know, it's
grace
just
is like my life word. And I tell people this all the time. Robyn needs the most grace, so she gives the most grace. Like I do. I need grace more than anyone. And everyone who is close to me is like, she's not wrong. So I love to give it as freely as I possibly can, because you never know what someone's going on in someone's life.
And that reminded me too, there's like a Mr. Rogers quote or something where, in the face of disaster, look for the people who are helping, and you will always find them. Mm-hmm. And I believe that, because they show up immediately, and I love that.
I do too. Beautiful quote.
What accomplishment are you most proud of, and what's your biggest regret?
Okay, so this seems really frivolous, but it's actually not at all. My most proud accomplishment was I earned a trip to the Bahamas for my husband and I. And I'd been on a cruise before. Like, it's cool. Like, I was excited, a free trip, all expense paid, flights, everything from Tucson to Florida, all that. But what was really crazy was my husband looked at me and he's like, I've never been on a cruise. And my husband's been everywhere. My husband, deep sea fishes. He's traveled. He played basketball overseas. So he's done a lot of things that I haven't done. And so I'm like, wait, you've never been on a cruise? He goes, it would mean the world to go on this cruise. And he's probably going to see this, so whatever, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to say it anyways. Watching his face and watching his emotion when we got on that boat, that I did that for him, to have the pride of my husband so proud of me and so grateful. I have a video and we're both just bawling our eyes out. That to me is so beautiful, to be able to do something for someone else. And along the way, There were people that joined my journey because I was earning that trip. They joined this journey and their lives are changed. And that was, you know, it was kind of selfish to earn that trip, but to watch what other people have received from that is just so powerful. And really, like, just his face and that video is like one of my favorite things. I never share it with anyone because it's a really kind of private thing, but to see it over and over again. And I know people say that they never want to, they don't regret anything. And I do agree with that. Like, you know, I do regret one thing though. And that is so long hating myself, hating the way I was made, hating what I looked like, hating how different I was. I hated myself at some really low points of my life. And now people will always say like, oh, you're so tall. I'm like, yes. And I would never trade it. I love my height. I love everything about myself. And and there are days where it's hard, but I never loved who I was when I was younger. And I look at the detriment I did to myself for so long and really what kind of that did to my brain. And I wish I could tell every young girl to love yourself, because one day you're going to wish you're going to regret not loving yourself then. Like I remember thinking I was so fat, and I look at those pictures, I'm like, what? I was like so athletic. I was so thin. I was so fit. I've always been so different, and that can be really hard. And at the same time, it's really what everyone wants, right? We all want to be unique. And so you'll find me 6'4" in my 5-inch heels, because that's who I am and I love it. I'm proud of it. So that is one thing I wish I could have told my younger self to love Robyn, because she's awesome.
I love that. And I think that everybody needs to hear that. So thank you for saying it.
Too. And especially young girls. I know that I'm being a little biased and I have a boy, but I really do think girls, we struggle with this differently. It just is different. And I'm always like, how can I help young girls? Like especially young tall girls, or young girls, any girl really, but especially when they're tall, I feel like a drawing to them. Like, oh my gosh, right. Trust me, you're going to love it. And they're like 5'11" too. They're like, you know, model height. I'm like, oh my God, you're perfect. Like, you don't even know, you know, it's just so hard when you see it on the other side.
Yep. Okay, tell me something good. So something that you've gained from this pandemic that you're going to take with you moving forward into the new normal.
So my biggest challenge has always been FOMO, which those who don't know, I'm the FOMO queen, fear of missing out. And I realized I'm not missing out on anything. So there's no fear of it, right? Like I have this uncharacteristic like for Robyn, peace and joy of looking at every day as I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not saying like, oh, on July 1, we're going to, like, I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So having this gratitude and presence that I've really never had. One, I will tell you, it took a lot of work to get here. It did not happen instantly, but also watching this, it's almost like watching everything around me kind of be chaotic and still be able to have this inner peace and joy and just know that I'm grateful. Yeah. And I struggle with that outside of a pandemic, you know, like someone like me who's highly anxious, panic attacks, all those kind of things. When it's the highest of all that, I'm the most peaceful I think I've ever been, but I'm also grateful because I've been doing that work for a long time. Mm-hmm. So Robyn, if this would have happened a pandemic 3 years ago, I don't know what Robyn would have been like, but today I keep bottling that up, and like literally I'm recording it, or I'm taking pictures of it, or I'm like voicing it to myself. Like, this is what this feels like. Keep this and take this with you.
I love that. So, is there anything else that you would like to touch on or add?
I don't know. I feel like all those questions were so good that I feel like I got to say all the things. I wasn't looking to say something specific. I just always want to hope that something I say resonates with someone. I always think if I can help one person's life and change one person's mindset about themselves, I've done what I came here to do.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions before I close this up? Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, I really want to say thank you for being here with us today, Robyn, for all of your incredible knowledge and for taking time out today to meet with us virtually. How can people best connect with you if they want to learn more?
A couple ways. I'm always on, I'm a millennial. Keep people saying Facebook. I'm Robyn Moore, Robyn Sullivan Moore, actually, because I have my maiden name. And then my Instagram handle is at Moore MK Glam. So that's how you can find me. Those are probably the easiest way, because even my website's linked to all that stuff. And before we go, also, Jessica knows who I am, so you can always ask Jessica. But I want to thank you, Jessica, for taking the time and energy. This is a lot of time and energy for something that probably doesn't make a whole lot of income, but it is really giving back to the community, and especially women in business being heard, because there's so many women doing great things and they haven't been heard. And you taking that courage and leap and bravery to do that, you are leaving a great legacy and you are making an impact in your community, a great impact in your community. And I want to thank you personally for doing that.
Thank you. Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put all of those links that you just mentioned in the comments or in the information above the video. And if you guys want to find out more about what we're doing here at REfashiond Magazine or at Fleur Photography, please make sure to follow and like our pages as well. See our upcoming meets as well as the replays of all of our past ones, including this one. They'll be on our website at refashionmagazine.com. We're also kicking off a 21-day challenge for finding your ideal client. So that's something that I've really come to understand really well as I've worked with other businesses as a photographer and helping them find who they're looking for so that I can photograph them in a way that, attracts those people. So I really want to help give that information out more to people so that they're finding their right clients and their messaging can align with that. So that's going to kick off June 1st, and you can reach out to me at jessica@fdlphoto.com to find out more. Thank you everyone who joined us today, and take care of yourself, stay healthy, keep diving into your businesses during all of the social distancing, and go take some time for self-care.
Yes, take some time for you.
Yes.
Yay!
Right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.